Hey folks, in a previous video, we talked about the cost of non-billable time and really the fact that that was your single greatest expense that you've got in your company. Well, I hate to break it to you, but it costs you even more than that. And that will be the topic of this week's Planning for Profit Minute. So let's jump in and look at what this is really costing you on top of that. So in our company, if I look at really our labor pool, and the dollar side of it in my service department, when I look at this, I'm looking at just wages here. And so I can see that everything under our red banner is non-billable time. We're actually breaking that out. And so I tend to look at non-billable time over here. And just in my service department, there's $42,000 in wages that I have to pay out that I can't bill somebody for. Now, here's the problem. That complete non-billable time also includes holiday vacation and sick time. Well, we can't give an employee a benefit and then beat them up because they used it. So really the accurate number that we can do something about is this one here, the lost hours. That's the time, again, that they came into work today, but we can't bill out because they're doing something else. And, we're not accounting for all their time in a lot of cases. And we still have $38,000 in wages in this particular example that I got to pay my guys for that I can't bill somebody for. Well, that's just the wages portion. What I would ask you is if they were engaged in billing activities, if they were actually in the field doing work, how much more would you have billed out? And we can look at and see that by looking at the cost of non-billable time report that we've got in here as well. So as we look at this, your cost of non-billable time, in other words, what is your revenue per billable hour? Right? How much revenue are you bringing in for all hours that you're working throughout there, billing throughout the year? Not working, but billing, right? So I can see in my service department, our revenue per billable hour is $282.24. So for every single hour that we're billing out throughout the course of the year, we're bringing in $282.24. Now, when we look at those lost hours, that time that the guys were involved in company meetings, running to the supply house, windshield time between jobs, callback, warranty work, all that other stuff that we couldn't bill for. In our service department, we had a grand total of 1,497 hours. 1,400 hours throughout the course of the year that we couldn't bill for, almost 1,500. Well, easy math on that one. When I take the 282 hours times those almost 1,500 hours, that's $422,000 in revenue that we won't be billing out for this year. Now, keep in mind, this 1,497 hours, that does also include the holiday vacation and sick time. So you will never get that to zero. But what if you could reduce it even a little bit? What if you could reduce that by 10%, 15%, right? How much would that impact the overall profitability of the company? Well, if I go down a little bit farther on this individual report, we tell you exactly that. What happens if you can reduce that non-billable time in my service department? Think about it. If I could get 10 minutes a day, increased productivity out of each of our guys, 10 minutes a day, we're not talking about changing the world. Getting them out of the shop just a little bit earlier in the morning, that's it. So 10 minutes earlier each day is 0.8 hours a week. Times our revenue per billable hour, that means that we will bring in another $11,290 in pure profit. Because think about it, all of your overhead is already somehow covered. Anything else that you bring in is going to flow right to the bottom line, right? If I could do 20 minutes a day, that's 1.7 hours per week, right? Times throughout the rest of the year, that's almost $24,000 in increased profitability per technician. This expense, this one area can change your company like nothing else. Monitor your actual cost, your lost time. Remember, make sure you're accounting for all of the time that your guys are actually working. That will increase your profitability. And that is this week's Planning for Profit Minute.